The consequences of harassment to our election workers.
With 2 elections this year, pro-democracy groups are warning about a shortage of experienced election workers because so many have quit. The Brennan Center for Justices says that more than half of election leaders in a recent poll say it's harder to recruit and retain workers right now. 12 of Arizona's 15 counties have lost their top chief election official in the last 3 years, many of them citing harassment and threats. Another study shows that 40% of chief election officials in western states have left their jobs since 2020.
And only on 12 News, a new report says that Arizona stands out nationwide with the amount of so-called election deniers who hold public office.
12 News journalist Joe Dana talked with several Republican lawmakers on that list and shows us why election watchdogs say it's important to continue calling out those spreading false information. Joe.
It was actually just 2 weeks ago the Justice Department was here in Phoenix warning about, quote, rabbit holes of disinformation that lead to false beliefs about elections. Sitting lawmakers have shown that they have a powerful platform.
Election denier movement is a danger to our democracy.
The nonprofit States United Democracy Center releasing a study that calls out elected state legislators for denialism.
Election deniers in state legislatures have the potential to undermine the will of the voters.
It analyzed the 7 states that contested the 2020 election. Among those 7, there are 201 sitting state legislators labeled today as election deniers. In Arizona, 31 legislators who supported former President Trump and false conspiracies about the past 2 elections meet the nonprofit's criteria. They account for 1/3 of our state legislature, the highest percentage of any state. It also represents a rift within the party. The nonprofit conducting the study was founded by former Republican White House official Christine Todd Whitman after January 6th.
We need to move on.
Republican Matt Salmon, a former congressman from Mesa, is now part of the GOP pushback against election conspiracies.
One of my favorite quotes ever is this: facts are stubborn things. And the more facts that have come out regarding the election, it's been a lot of egg on the faces of a lot of these election deniers. The sad thing is, it seems that our former president seems to demand that you play that game.
We spoke to 5 current state lawmakers named election deniers by the report. State Senators Anthony Kern, Sonny Borrelli, Shauna Bullock, Justine Wadzak, and Jake Hoffman.
I consider myself an election integrity legislator. I focused on election issues because that's the right thing to do.
Like Senator Hoffman, many of them reject the term election denier, saying they've made good faith efforts to address legitimate concerns and comparing what they've done to actions by Democrats in other elections.
The lie of the left is it's a media narrative that, if you question an election, that now you're some kind of denier.
And I'm not an election denier. I've questioned things about the process of our election, Joe.
But these lawmakers went further than just asking questions.
We do know that the election officials colluded with the judiciary in 2020.
Tens of thousands of voters were directly disenfranchised. It should not be certified by Doug Ducey.
Some demanding elected officials be jailed, alleging top state officials committed treason. 9 of the 31 labeled election deniers, including these 5, signed a joint resolution in December of 2020, calling on Congress to give Arizona's electors to Trump or allow the Republican-controlled legislature to conduct its own audit and then determine a winner.
We know their failure to respect legitimate election results can be dangerous, and so it's crucial that we call them out.
They also used their elected positions to spread conspiracies.
Thank you so much for being here.
In 2022, Bullock hosted a presentation at the legislature about a film on ballot harvesting.
After watching the 2000 Mules movie, the only thing that I like to see coming out of this meeting is people going to jail. Because
whatever came of the 2000 Mules movie,
I think that there were a lot of clowns out there.
Both the FBI and Attorney General Brnovich said the 2 filmmakers who addressed the legislature never provided law enforcement with evidence they claimed to have.
Horse. And that's what it is. Most of it's horse, and I've been trying to scrape it off my shoes for the last year.
Bullock declined our interview request.
So we do think there's a connection between the election denial rhetoric, the conspiracy theories about elections, and the potential for violence.
Law enforcement warns about the consequences of conspiracy theories heading into the next election. The Department of Justice recently announcing they continue to investigate dozens of threats to politicians and election workers.
This new era in which the election community is scapegoated, targeted, and attacked is unconscionable.
Justine Wadzak also declined to talk about her claims against election officials.
Looking back, do you still think that Governor Ducey and Secretary Hobbs should have been arrested for treason?
after the election?
I'm very concerned that people have become so polarized that whichever way this election goes, I am very fearful that there could be violence.
I'll say this, if anybody feels threatened, that is wrong. We should not be threatening people, period.
And look, it goes without saying at this point, the courts and law enforcement have found no systemic fraud in the last 2 elections, locally or nationally. So coming up tomorrow at 12 News at 6, more on this election denial report and why 2 state lawmakers, Kern and Hoffman, face even more scrutiny for participating in the so-called fake electors scheme. That's tomorrow.